few days ago, I posted a video. We moved the shipping station over here, got everything set up with the SCADAS board, and one of you made a comment that kind of clicked in my head. Because my garage floor is so uneven, there's lots of little high spots and low spots, and this front right leg is about an inch, 7/8 to an inch off of the ground. So I just threw a piece of wood under there. And then one of you made a comment, and that comment was something to the effect of, dude, you've got 3D printers, just print something for it. I'm like, what? Why didn't I think of that? So that's exactly what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna take a few quick measurements of the little foot that's on the bottom of this desk, hop into Fusion, and model up a TPU foot for it, essentially. Something that can slide over it, kind of lock it in place. I am using TPU for that specific reason, because I want it to be able to flex or have like a flange or something that comes up around it. And I also want to give it a little bit of stability, I guess. All of these feet have like a rubber base to them, so I kind of want to keep it the same way. Otherwise, I would just use something like PETG for it. But I've got the TPU in the dryer right now for however long it takes me to model this. Gonna use our calipers and get a few quick measurements, and we can design up this little foot, I guess, in Fusion. So this little piece of wood here was my genius idea, what I used on the other side, and I figured, why make things more difficult than they need to be? But it's ugly, and I think we can do better. Our diameter is right around 58.5 millimeters, and that stays pretty consistent, 58, 59 millimeters. I think 59 is probably a good starting number, maybe even 60 millimeters, so we can clear this metal portion there. And then kind of what I'm thinking is to design it the exact same way this is. So we just basically add 3/4 of an inch, similar to what this board is. Then it'll have roughly 19 or 20 millimeters. It's basically a pocket for this foot to sit in. And then it can kind of curl up a little bit, maybe 5 or 6 millimeters. Not too much, because we don't want the TPU to start failing during the print. Don't want to print this with supports, but it's a super simple design. We could honestly take this off, take a picture of it, and redraw it, but something this simple doesn't really require that. So this should only take a few minutes to actually model up inside of Fusion. The printing time is going to take a little while because of how much thickness we're going to have in the base, and I need it to be sturdy. I don't really want it to be, 10, 15, 20% infill, because otherwise the weight of this desk will just kind of compress it, and then we'll lose that height, causing the desk to not be level. So I'm probably gonna give it about 7/8 of an inch just to make room, maybe 1/8 of an inch, give or take, for it to compress, because this desk is quite heavy, and we can go from there. Worst case scenario is we have to end up reprinting it out, which isn't really that big of a deal anyway. All right, now that the model's all finished up, we can load it up into Bambu Studio and get it sent off to the printer. So this will be my first time printing with TPU on the P2S. We're using TPU from Overture. I've had it for like 2 years now. Obviously, I don't print very much with it. And obviously, we're gonna avoid using the AMS system. We're gonna try to load it up directly through this external spool and into the back of the machine, bypassing the buffer on the back as well. Well, the TPU was a little bit wet. Didn't seem to cause many issues though. Let's see if we can break this guy off of the build plate. Yeah, there we go. So that didn't come out looking half bad. It's got a fair amount of flex to it, but this little lip here should make it easier for us to wrap it around there. It should stretch back enough, assuming we get some of this stringing out. Let's see how it fits. So this might be a tad bit interesting, but I think if I can lift this up and get this out of the way. So that fits really, really good on there. Then we can extend the leg back down. It's just a little bit too short. I think because this board was at an angle, it kind of helped to prop it up there. If I unscrew this to where it's touching the ground, it's basically too loose. So that's an initial proof of concept. We know that this thing fits around here. This angle isn't quite as sharp as I would have wanted, but it does fit around there, and it does kind of, I mean, it's never gonna come off when the desk has got weight on it anyway. So I think all we need to do is extend this base part by 5 or 10 millimeters. I guess it can't hurt to have more. So I'm gonna go back into Fusion, edit that file to extend the base piece that the foot actually sits into by about 10 millimeters. That should give us more than enough room for the foot to unscrew, but also sit on the ground nice and snug.
2 hours later.
And we've got our second iteration. All right, so for this one, I changed up the design just a hair. I added a small chamfer around this bottom edge here, just to give it a more visually appealing look. And of course, we also extended it down. I believe I did 12 millimeters, so just about half an inch, just under half an inch. So hopefully that does the trick. I'm gonna pull the old one off, get this new one put on there, and see if we fixed our problem. All right, a little bit more difficult to get that one on than the previous one just due to the extra height, but it fits, it works exactly like I was hoping it would, and definitely looks a lot better than that piece of wood just shoved underneath the foot. So I don't know why I didn't think of it before. I guess I was just in a rush to get it moved over here and set up that designing and 3D printing a simple fix for it didn't even cross my mind, even though we're surrounded by 3D printers. So anyway, if you have a problem, design it and fix it. That's the beauty of 3D printers. They're not just for printing out stuff to sell or printing out little knickknacks. They can actually solve problems in the real world, so who knew? And the beauty of printing it out of TPU instead of a harder plastic like PLA, PETG, or even ABS is that TPU flexes, it also absorbs impact, so we're gonna keep the same properties of the rubber feet that came on the shipping station to begin with, and it's pretty much indestructible, aside from, cutting into it. TPU is not just gonna crack or wear out over time. It might slowly start to compress, but we've got a little bit of room left in that adjustable foot. So if it does compress a little bit and I start noticing the table being a little bit off balance, I can just rotate that particular foot a couple times and we should be all set. If you're interested in learning design software like Fusion, Cloud42, I will link his playlist down in the description below. He's got some great videos on the fundamentals and just basically walking you through how he uses Fusion, along with putting some key combinations up. That's what helped me get into it initially. Another great resource for learning Fusion is from Bob Claggett over at I Like to Make Stuff. He has the whole Fusion for Makers course. I believe the website is fusionformakers.com. It is a paid course, but once you buy into it, any updates that he makes or him and his team make, you get those included as well. And I believe he's working on a revised version of that right now for the updated version of Fusion this year. So I will also have Fusion for Makers linked down in the description below. If you're interested in watching more 3D printing videos, I've got some more queued up for you right here.